Okay. While they're trying to figure that out, I think I'll just go ahead in the interest of time. So I am a second generation VGC resident here. So I have a lot of innovative ideas and things that I believe I can do. In terms of technical qualification, I don't think I'm lacking in that at all. As mentioned earlier, I'm a fellow chartered accountant and also have an MBA. I have worked in various organizations where my focus has been on corporate governance, internal control, external audit. I actually started my career with Arthur Anderson, now KPMG. So if I'm looking at VGC community, I'm looking at ways in which I feel I can contribute to the entire estate, working with the EXCO team. I think one of the major areas is introducing a governance structure. I have been head of procurement for multiple years. I was head of procurement for multiple years where I worked in First Bank. And that involved me working with a number of vendors to make sure that we actually get value for our projects. For me, it's more about cost optimization as opposed to just saying it is cost reduction. There's something more in there. We have to be able to get value from our projects. And this is not just for the value now, but into the future years. I want my kids to be able to come here as well, just as I came here, and enjoy living in this community. So I believe in that respect, when it comes to controls, audits, procurement, finance, investment management, capital management, I actually have a lot to offer the community. One of the areas that I think that I can directly improve on is maybe ensuring that we have other sources of revenue in VGC, so that we're not just looking at 1 or 2 or 3 sources to be able to generate revenue in the community. I think we have a great platform. Even if we're looking at just the VGC app, there's a lot more we can do with that app. Whether it is working better with vendors to see whether we can put adverts on the app that we can charge for. I think there's a wealth of community in here that, there are various things that we can do to ensure that we're able to accrete value in those areas. So in terms of, I've spoken a little bit about viewing our costs as investments. I'm not really looking at just the expensive, but on value creation for multiple years. I think my vast experience working with multiple vendors, managing complex contracts and ensuring that we actually get value from those contracts is a key attribute that I'll be bringing here. Working a lot on our outdated infrastructure, working at introducing a hybrid solution. Again, it's not just about the solution as it relates to power, but how we can ensure we get value from this solution, which is going to be of benefit to all the residents here. I think lastly is one of the things I also want to look at is restoration of our park to make it more welcoming to residents. I've heard a lot about communication here, about community building. And to be frank, that is something that is very important to me as well. So I think it's in looking at projects that we can do, in looking at things that we can do to improve of that, financing and investment is a big part of that. So I would, I'm very honored to be here and would be privileged to be team that acting as a treasurer for VGC. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Damilola Adisa, thank you. Abel Oyewole Ajala, I don't know if you are online, if you can actually speak to us. If you're online, you have the floor. Can you unmute yourself, please? At one point, Mr. Abel Ajala was in traffic. I do believe he's here now. Is he here? Okay. All right then. So I would like to call on you to come and speak to us with regards what you'll be bringing if you are voted as treasurer. But whilst before you continue, let me give you your flowers as well.
All right,
I'm sure you would love that.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Abel Ajala is a seasoned banker with about 30 years broad-based experience that cuts across external audits and banking and financial services. He's a chartered accountant and a fellow of both Institute of Chartered Accountants, ICANN, and Institute of Taxation as well. Received an MBA from IESE Business School, University of Navarra, Barcelona. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in accountancy, second-class offer from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and he was trained and qualified as an accountant in 1993 by one of the leading chartered accounting firms in Nigeria, D.O. Dafioni and Company, now Crow Dafioni and Company. He was immediate past group head of local corporate and commercial bank for entire EXCO Bank. And upon retirement in 2020, he started Seed Time and Harvest Field Limited, a company that specializes in human resources, management, finance, and accounting consultancy. He's also Director of Finance Strategies and Admin in Seed Time Logistics and Services, a company that focuses on corporate gifts, branding, and logistics services. He's a teacher and loves impacting knowledge. He teaches Sunday school class and handles discipleship class in his church. He was an active facilitator at EXCO Bank Limited Academy, and he had been privileged to facilitate thrice at graduating MBA class 2012, 2013, and 2015 of Pan Atlantic University, LBS, as a guest lecturer during their case study session on balance scorecard. Prior to this, Abel taught on a part-time basis cost accounting at SAFE and WYSE, two leading accredited tutors of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and he was privileged of facilitating at FATE Foundation. He's a strategist who specializes in career development, management accounting, and cost management, as well as personal finance planning. I give to you Abel Oyewale Ajala.
Good evening, fellow residents. First of all, I would like to apologize for coming late. I was held up in a very serious traffic, but I'm happy that I'm here. Why am I interested? Madam, that's what I've just said. And I was told
hello, excuse me. Excuse me.
Madam,
it is not for you to ask questions of the person that is on the rostrum. Please, let's have some decorum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Thank you very much, fellow residents. Why am I interested in serving in VGC Pura? First of all, I've served before. I was the treasurer of this estate year 2015 to 2017. I could not go for the second time because I was posted out to our headquarters, EcoBank International in Togo. Now, everywhere I've been, I've always offered myself to serve. When I was in my previous estate, I was the financial secretary, and we did a lot of work there, and we achieved much. When I was the treasurer here, we worked to ensure that this community was at peace, and you can check the record. But why am I coming back again? Anytime you are coming to this estate and you're on the resident lane, what do you see on the visitors lane? You have a queue on the visitors lane. The queue on the visitors lane does not suggest that everybody on that queue is a visitor. It means that we have people that are staying in this estate that are not paying their dues and they want to enjoy the benefits that estate offers. We should not allow that. So my interest is to ensure that we increase our collection. My interest is to ensure that we judiciously utilize the little resources we have as a community. As a professional chartered accountant, to us, cost is not an expense. Cost is of value. Cost to an accountant is value that is exchanged for another value. What do I mean by that? For every naira to be spent out of any of the members of this community, then there must be value for it. Now, not only that, one of the things we achieved when I served in that particular administration and in the administration of my former estate is that, yes, people are contributing for maintenance, they are contributing for development levy, but we can leverage on the circle of influence of members to get corporate organization to sponsor some of our events. And I believe that that one will help us to put the estate at the edge of others. If you go around this Lekki Resident Association, one thing that stands out is that every estate along this corridor want to be like VGC. Then, should we be going backward or should we be going forward? We must remain estates where everybody will like to stay. You can go around the estate here. There's no facility that they offer that is as much as what we enjoy here. That is our responsibility as residents, now that we are here, to ensure that we maintain the security of this estate. We maintain the community relationship of this estate. And it's our responsibility to ensure that we maintain the continuity. And what we need to do like that, if you go through the bullet points, the bulletin that has just been distributed, what is the level of collection? How many people are paying their dues? And everybody is enjoying. Then we must put us together with the EXCO and ensure that everybody contribute to the development of this estate.
Thank you very much indeed. I know that there are people who will want to ask questions from those who want to contest for the position of treasurer. I'd like to call on Damilola Adisa to come to the rostrum because you are also contesting for this position. So anyone who, within the audience that would like to ask questions can raise their hand by, and then somebody will come to them with a microphone so they can ask their question. So if you have a question to ask, please signify by raising your hand. And if you are on Zoom as well, please raise your hand and those in charge of Zoom will let me know that you raise your hand and I'll call on you to ask your question as well. Do we have anyone that would like to ask questions of the treasurer online? Where is he? Okay, we have Pastor Kayode.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For the two contestants, I want to ask how you would like to invest VGC money to yield more. Thank you very much.
Can I ask Mr. Ajala to answer this question?
Thank you very much, Pastor. How do we intend to invest our resources? For every collection that we have, one thing, first of all, you must make sure that you are able, first of all, to pay the salaries of your workers, to maintain the estate. As a good treasurer, no money should stay idle. Whatever money that is left, in fact, as a matter of fact, we must have a strategy of having a portion, maybe a certain percentage of our collection that must be saved, not only for now, but for the future. Now, how do we intend to invest? There are so many investment opportunities that we need to consider. This investment opportunity can be classified into various categories, but because of time, I won't go into that details. What is important is the fact that for every money that is not being utilized either now or that will not be used in the foreseeable future, it must be put to an investment where we get the maximum return and balance it with the adequate risk. Because there's a relationship between the risk and the returns. It's not enough to say, I want to get the maximum returns at the expense of taking the risk on behalf of everybody here. So I will ensure that our money is properly utilized, and I will ensure that it's properly invested to ensure that we get the maximum return, given the fact that we have taken care of the risk assessment of such investment. Thank you.
Okay, Damilola.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think investments is a very key part of what we need to do with our funds in VGC. And my experience in that area has also involved me managing portfolios of over 200 billion. I am accountable for getting a return on those kinds of investment. I think in working in VGC, one, we have to look at the cost of the funds. We have to be able to make a return. We normally have in finance a minimum level of return that we are required to make on an investment. In doing that, we look at various opportunities and compare those to see what would work best for the estate. This is something that I've been doing for many years, something that I continue to intend doing with VGC funds to ensure that we're getting the maximum value for any one of our investments. I think a major part of this is also transparency, sharing this with the community to know exactly where our funds are going. And this is part of what I intend to do as treasurer of the EXCO. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question from Mr. Rotimelajide Adetolu. And it says, as treasurer, will you support increase in estate maintenance dues within the next 2 years or not? Do you promise not to insult members by saying VGC is not cheap and they should consider relocating when the challenge levies and fees increase?
A valid question.
Okay. Well, I think we've talked a lot about communication here today. I think the idea of insulting people and telling people that they should move out of the estate is not an option. I think everybody has the best intentions for this estate. We want an estate that we can live in, we are comfortable with, and an estate where people are happy to be in. So I think when it comes to saying that things are not cheap, I think a way to go around that is actually the transparency. What information are you providing to people? If people feel informed and are part of the process, their issue will not be, there's so much emphasis on cheapness or not cheapness. We want value for money. And I think that is the main thing that we have to do, even as a treasurer, is to ensure that people are able to get value for their money. As it relates to a promise for the next 2 years, I am not sure that there's anybody that can make that kind of promise in any situation. There's so much that is happening around the world. We don't know where we're going to be in another 1 year, what will be happening as it relates to expenses, as it relates to inflation, as it relates to the various macroeconomic issues that we will have that will affect us in Nigeria. So these are things that we have to take bit by bit, evaluate and determine what is best for the estate. The objective is not just to increase, dues and fees to people. I think I'd spoken earlier about looking at other sources of revenue. I think that is key for me. Looking at innovative ways that on the platform we have now, we can actually increase the pie, increase our books, increase the balances that we have in our books so that everybody gets the benefit. Thank you.
And Mr. Ajala.
Thank you very much. My first reaction is that based on today's analysis, I will not support increase in maintenance. Why? Up to about a year or 2 years ago, the annual maintenance fee was around 130,000. As at now, it just recently increased to everything inclusive, about 99,000. If you want to round it up, say 200,000. Now, the collection currently, as at the last report we have, I cannot remember exactly, but it's about 63 or 65%, both for development levy and maintenance. My first option would be, let's collect from everybody first. Like my colleague said, the other sources of raising, and I raise it, that we look for sponsors of major events. That's a source of income. If everybody, you know how many houses do we have in this estate? We have over 2,000. Is everybody paying? If everybody is paying, multiply the amount we are collecting by the amount we are currently paying. How are we using it? When we get to that, if people are satisfied with the benefit and value they are getting from the amount they are currently paying, and if the situation in the macroeconomy determines that necessitates the need for us to increase, it will not be a problem. But for now, in the next 2 years, it's a short time for me. I will not be looking at increasing the maintenance fee that we're paying now, because I believe that everybody that is not paying now, and those people that are owing, should pay what they are owing first. Then at that level, we look at what we have used it for, then we take it from there. Thank you very much.
I have online Onyiye. Are you there?
Yes,
Onyiye?
I'm here.
Okay, ask a question, please.
I'm here. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think my question is to both of you, but particularly Mr. Ajala. So you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you've noticed that a lot of people come into the visitors' gates, and they are mostly residents who have refused to pay their maintenance fee, and they're enjoying enjoying the services. Can I interpret this to mean that you would want to deny people of access to their homes because they have not yet paid their service charge? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And then the second question would be as to transparency. You both spoke about it. So how often do we get, reports of the accounts to see how money comes in and how it is being spent? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm not going to deny anybody from coming to their own apartments. That's not what I will do. You first of all engage them persistently. I know a lot of people that will say, the reason why I'm not paying because I feel that I'm not getting value for what I'm paying for. You have a stakeholders meeting where you take in people's reasons why they have not been paying. Let me tell you the truth. If you look at the list of, maybe we should start publishing the list of people that have not been paying. So that if one of them is your friend, you will ask, say, Mr. Man, why is it that you are not paying? How much is this? Some of them, it's not because they don't have money. They have money. So we look at the way, first of all, talk to them persistently and ensure that everybody is paying. That's my first reaction to the first question. Now, how often should we make account available? I think statutorily, constitutionally, we are meant to meet, biannually, but account can be presented quarterly and can be circulated through our various platforms so that people know what is going on. People know how the executive is performing. People know the plan that the executive have. People know where their money is going. I think that I will ensure that accountability, proper reporting is achieved with this administration. Thank you.
Damilola.
All right, thank you. I think the key thing when it comes to people paying their dues is really, are they seeing the value for the money that they are putting down? I think this is an area that a lot of people struggle with. And it is something that maybe the work is being done, but we're not publishing it enough. People don't know. So when it comes to publishing accounts, I think because of the situation we're in, the frequency has to increase. So if we're doing it biannually, we have annual reports that come out now. At a minimum, those accounts should be published quarterly. I mean, accounts are available monthly, even if we want to go that route. If we want to provide this information to the people in the community, it's important to do that. When it comes to the names of people that haven't paid, I don't know, if that is, for me, that is the right way to go, but I wouldn't speak much to that. I think when it comes to just ensuring that people see we are transparent about what is being, where the money is going, what we're thinking of. If there are projects that we're considering, we're transparent about why we feel project A is a better project than project B. I think these are things that we can also bring to the table and have people see this information. Once there's transparency, people are aligned. I have worked in procurement for a long time, and I think this is part of my mantra when I worked there, to ensure that people know of what the process is. People can see where the money is going. Once we have that, I think a lot of people will be convinced. They want to stay in this estate. They want to see it beautified, to ensure that we get to, we get to where we want to get to in VGC. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I have two questions from two people online. Imamuzo Idegbeso. This question is for Mr. Ajala. It goes, Mr. Ajala, can you share the collection rate during the period that you were the treasurer? I don't know. I mean, I think it was between 2012 and 2015 or thereabout. Yes. I'm not sure, but if you could answer the question, please do.
Yeah, that was about 6 years ago, but I knew that as at time we took over, collection, I may not be precise, but collection rate was around 60%. But as at that 2017, we have moved it to over 80%.
Over 80%,
yes,
around 2017.
Yes.
Okay. Question, this question is for both of you. And it's from Femi Sanusi. It goes, as treasurer, do you intend to have any committees set up to manage the funds of the estate? And how would you constitute this investment committee? So, Damilola.
Okay, I believe we already have a finance team that works on this, but when it comes to communities and thinking of investment options, I think there is something to be said for the experience of the members of the committee. So if having this committee in place is something that we believe will be beneficial to the committee. I think based on my experience with investing and holding funds of multinational firms, and also other people that have had similar experience will be invited to join this investment committee. Thank you.
Currently, we have a finance committee that looks at budgets and budget implementation. For investment, it would be good to have investment committee as well. We look at the constitution, if it's allowed, to take advantage of our members that are specialists in this area. And I will support having an investment committee. Thank you.
All right. And we have Mr. Godwin Okodua who would like to speak. Godwin, are you on? If you're on, you have the floor.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, those going for the position of the treasurer, if I'm correct. My question is to Mr. Jala, and I'm asking you because I think you've shown more willingness to be accountable. You'll be more upfront with what you want to do. I want to ask, what did you do differently? How did you raise the collection rate from 60 to 80? And I also do not think it's within your power to say how to collect the monies, like imposing some certain sanctions on residents are not paying. That will be up to probably the chairman. But what you mentioned some kind of investments you think you can make. Now, is there enough money to even invest? If we don't have enough money to, do the things we want to do, how would you now, apportion a part of the collection to investment? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Uche. You see,
Godwin.
when I was in my brief speech, I made mention that no kobo should be lying idle. And an investment portfolio, there are various forms. The minimum, as we all know, is the money market. Now, we collect. I also did mention that we ensure that we meet our obligations. It's the duty of a treasurer to ensure that when the obligation is due, the fund is made available. But one thing that I'm saying must be done is to ensure that while that payment is due, for instance now, for every organization, you have a payment terms. So organizations have 2 weeks, some have 1 month, depending on the size of the money involved. Within that period, should I leave the money in a current account? I do. Even if it's just ₦1 million income we are going to get, that ₦1 million income, I know can buy certain liters of diesel that we will use to power the security lights. So I feel that proper matrix of our funds as they are coming in and utilization is the work of a treasurer. And I will ensure that this is properly done. Today, there's no point in having money in your in a current account that's yielding nothing. At the minimum, put it on a call, and you have something coming out of that. So I will do that. You asked, how did they do the other time? If you remember, before we had Welcome Center, there wasn't anything, people just call. But when the Welcome Center was reorganized, the only people that can call Welcome Center for their visitors to come in were the people that have paid. So when you have not paid, the inconveniencing of going to the gate to bring your own visitor made some people to start paying. How much is it? That you cannot, if you have not paid, your line will not show at Welcome Center. I hope you know how it operates. Now, we graduated from that to this security bar that we installed. I know the other executives have also improved on that. Now, I also mentioned the fact that when we, as executive, we can engage people that have not paid one-on-one. Look at the people that are owing. Some people have not been paying for the past maybe a few years. Engage them. They will tell you why they have not been paying. They may give you the reason because they are not, but when they see what you are planning to do with their money, I have the confidence that they will pay. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And I think Mr. Rotimi also said that quite a few of those, he sent a mail, quite a few of those who are not paying are retirees and their pension is not growing. The debts are growing, but the pension is not growing. So that was also a factor in. So not everyone that is not paying is a pensioner, but some of them are. So it's something that we also need to, that you guys need to look at as well, how to help the retirees who are not earning any money. Maybe put them on a payment plan or something that they can pay small. All right, then. Anyone raising hand? Okay, somebody give them the mic. Also.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Larry Osagioba. My question is to Mr. Ajala. You served when 2015 to 2017. You are coming back again. Is that an indictment on the present EXCO? Is that an indictment on the present EXCO that they have not performed well in that direction? Please let me know, because you are looking for my votes.
Mine, as I said earlier, mine is just to add value. I am here. Let me add my own contribution to the growth of the estate. A time is coming when I may not be available for such service for whatever reason. What is important that I'll be able to say that why I had the time, I did my best. Because what do we see today? We have a lot of people saying things are not working, but they are not doing anything about it. I don't want to be part of that. In my former estate, as I said, I was the financial secretary. Currently in my church, at the time I was financial head of ministry for finance. Currently I'm the chairman of the finance committee. You must, anywhere you are, you must have your own quota. It is your little contribution from here and there that can make things better. There's no point in criticizing when you are not offering. Now we are going to have committee system. A lot of people will serve there. During my time, people that serve in finance committee, I respected them a lot because they put in their best. By the time they produced their report, I said, thank you, sir. These are people with integrity. These are people with track records. So I feel the reason for coming by is not entitlement. It's just to say that, okay, this is another opportunity to serve. And I felt that I can serve. That's why I've offered myself. Thank you, sir.
One more.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I observed from your profiles that you're both chartered accountants. I'm also a chartered accountant as well. I would like to find out if you deem it fit that our financial statements be communicated to each and every one of us as residents in the estate. So we'll be able to know our total assets and liabilities. And also, sir, you mentioned idle funds being invested. The financial statements will carry all that information. So both to us that are financial users or users of financial statements and those that are not, would you deem it fit to communicate such information to we residents?
Who would like to answer? Dami?
Yes, so on the financial statement, there is an annual financial report that is communicated to residents now. But I do understand your concern. Again, I think the major thing is this frequency of communication. We have to increase on it. So even if we have a budget, if you look at the financial statements, it has what was, what happened in previous years, as well as the budget for 2023. People want to know how we're executing on that budget. So I think it is important for us to increase that frequency of communication, ensure that wherever it is that our funds are going, what we're doing with our budget, how we're utilizing that budget is clear to everybody. So I agree with you 100%. It is not an option for us not to communicate frequently. It is something that I plan to do and will do as treasurer. Thank you.
Yeah, my answer is that it's your right, sir. Not only that the secretary must communicate, you also have rights to work to the management office and demand to have whatever, to have the reports. Is your right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Damilola Adisa and Mr. Abel Oyewale Ajala for answering the questions.